Good morning from the patio. Hope you're doing well today. Haven't been on here in a while. Haven't been posting much because I've been so busy coaching and then commuting for about 3 hours every day on a motorcycle to Managua, which has been exhausting, I'll be honest. So I am going to be moving to Managua here shortly, which will allow me to I found a place that will allow me to take Rommel with me. Which will allow me to have a 5-minute commute as opposed to a, 10-minute total, as opposed to almost 3 hours. It's about 45 minutes to an hour to Managua each way, but you got to stop. You're on the motorcycle. You need to get off the motorcycle. You got to take a bathroom break. Sometimes you got to fill up with gas. So, and by the time I get home, I'm just cooked and I go to sleep. So this week, the ante goes up. I'm working with an additional team, which is really exciting. I'm just going to wait till I sign that contract before I announce who I'm working with. It's a pretty big deal. And then Los Santos, who I've been working with now for about 4, 5, 6 weeks. We're in the championship in the Pomeranians in Nicaragua baseball. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we've got a busy week. And I'm looking forward to not having to drive an hour and a half after coaching all day. And plus the danger of driving a motorcycle in Central America in big cities. I like it. It's fun to do every once in a while, but daily you just increase your risk of something bad happening. So that's a big part of the reason I'm moving as well. So I'll miss being out here in the rainforest, but the place I found is really cool. It's a neat little place, so it's going to be fun. It's a little cheaper too, so I'll save some money. So I'm looking forward to that. The interesting thing about coaching, getting back to coaching large groups of people in person, is the power of the basics and the power of simple things. And I think a lot of people today, with all the flashy stuff on the internet, I am shocked with how much the team I'm currently working with has improved in the last 5 to 6 weeks by just doing some really simple warm-up stuff. Nothing fancy, nothing extravagant, just stuff done daily. Improvements in just about every aspect: speed, explosive power, fitness level, just by adding some simple stuff. And it's the same thing with you every day. Like, everybody's trying to sell you these fancy things. But it's really not the fancy things that make the difference in the long run. It's the little things done daily. And it's not exciting. It's not going to sell me a million courses. It's not going to sell me, tons of coaching programs. But it works. If you can get people to adhere to the fundamentals, get outside, eat more protein, get the lights off at night, you can make some dramatic changes in people very quickly. Also combined with a rational training program that challenges people but doesn't annihilate them. Also taking into consideration their body type, and certain body types are better at certain things than others, and giving them things that don't people have movement strategies. So people move in different ways. Some people are good at rotating. Some people are good at like straight ahead stuff like me. So for me, at my point in my life, now I'm done with powerlifting and any of that kind of stuff, for me to do more of that, more stuff that locks the thorax up, that basically doesn't allow me to move through my thorax, because that's what powerlifting is essentially, is creating this very stable fire hydrant so you can lift some really heavy things. If I continue to train like that, I'm going to have problems. I'm going to have problems with compression. I'm going to have problems with joints. Then you've got people on the other extreme that are actually move too much. You don't want to make them even more mobile, so you want to give them things to make them a little less mobile, a little more stable. So picking exercises, picking things that allow people to turn off strategies, and that's really the name of the game when it comes to health and well-being, is can you shut it off? It's like blood pressure. Can it go high, and will it come back down? Same with blood sugar. If you eat a bunch of carbs, does your blood sugar come up? Does it come down? It should go up and it should go down. The problem is when you lose that variability. You should be able to breathe really hard and aggressively if you're like doing some aggressive things, and you should be able to breathe less. You need to turn it on, you need to turn it off. And most people, that's where they get into trouble, is they lose variability in movement. And that basically, I think, is one of the big issues that people are having today, is they lose variability. And a lot of that has to do with our indoor sedentary lifestyle, where they throw intensity on. And then I think the biggest problem I see, especially the people I work with online, is not being able to relax. We're constantly on the phone. When's the last time you actually went outside and relaxed and put your phone away and just sat for 10 or 15 minutes and listened to the birds? Most people never do that anymore. Most people never sit down to eat. They're always rolling. They're always hot. They're always busy. You need to have time where you do nothing and you calm your mind and you relax. And most people don't do that. And that's where a lot of people, and then they try and throw intensity on top of that. When they don't know how to relax, they don't know how to chill. I love training hard. I love getting people to train hard. First, you got to build the base. And then you got to, once you have the base, you can add intensity. But I think the top two things that are causing people problems today are the indoor lifestyle, broken circadian rhythm. And because of our in front of a screen lifestyle, not being able to shut off that hamster in their head. And if you can't shut off that hamster, your body doesn't recover, doesn't go into rest and digest. You don't absorb minerals. Your hormones are going to be burned out. And then what most people do is they take hormones to keep the hamster spinning. So even if you are going to do, HRT or something along those lines, or take supplements or whatever you decide to do, that's your business, not mine. You have to learn how to shut it off, because you could be on all the peptides in the world, all the HRT in the world. If you can't relax, eventually you're going to pay a price, right? I have firsthand knowledge of that. I did that to myself. Well, there wasn't peptides back then, but, performance enhancing drugs, pushing hard, never relaxing, never sleeping until my body made me. I got ulcerative colitis. My body made me stop. So, hey Hayden, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Just having a little chat here on the patio. I'm just talking about I'm moving to Managua here soon, so I'll have more time to do stuff online because I won't have a 3-hour commute every day. So I'll be moving. I'll be staying there this week and then move at the end of the. I'll move my stuff at the end of the week. I don't have a lot of stuff, so it's good. It'll be nice and easy. But variability is the key. Variability in movement, variability in seasons. Well, obviously I live in Central America, so I don't really have a lot of variability in seasons. Everybody talks about keto, they talk about carnivore. You want to eat with the seasons. If health and well-being is your number one goal, if performance is your number one goal, then there's some nuance to that. But, eating, it makes more sense to eat more carbs in the summer and less carbs in the winter. Especially if you're in North America, where you actually have a winter. I don't have one here. But even here, I have to be really careful. 90% of the diet is carbohydrates here. So I got to make sure I'm getting my protein, make sure that everything's so, all the rice, the beans, the tortillas, all that stuff is so cheap. And that's why so many people eat it here, because, the meat, the chicken, the fish is a lot more expensive, and not expensive for the US, but expensive for here, considering the average salary here is $200 a month. So to summarize it, make sure you have variability in movement. You're able to flow and relax, and you're also be able to create force. So you want to be able to lift heavy things when you need to, have an effort. You want to create effort, and you also need to be able to flow and relax. That's why I really like doing ground-based warm-ups, because it's more about relaxing and flowing and, priming the body for more intense activity. Things like Tai Chi are excellent, especially if you're older. There's all sorts of really great beginner Tai Chis because it teaches you how to breathe and move and flow. There's things like rope flow that have become really popular that I've been playing around with that are very helpful. For me, I'm so good at turning on power and lifting heavy things, I don't really need to do it very often for me to keep it. So having variability in movement, understanding that, variability in your breathing, making sure that you're not sitting around all day breathing with your neck in your traps, and a lot of that comes down to structure, your rib cage, your pelvis, your relationship between your pelvic floor and your diaphragm, and you get caught in a loop where you can't relax and slow your breathing down, then you're in this constant stress state, right? So we need to be able to breathe less when we're chilled, and then we need to be able to breathe hard. The cool thing is if you're really good at breathing less, the hard stuff will be easier. So we need to be able to brace, we need to be able to flow, and then we need to be able to vary our diet with the seasons. You know, as you have more light, you eat more carbs, and as there's less light, you eat less carbs. Everybody argues about what the right diet is, and they don't take into factor where those people are living, and they eat what's in the environment, right? So if you're living in Alaska in the middle of wintertime, it would make sense that you would eat a lower carb diet. There might be some things that you can eat that you can store over the winter, but for the most part, you're going to be eating animal products, right? You live close to the equator like I do, you're going to be able to eat fruits year-round because there's fruit year-round here. I mean, that's just kind of the deal. That's the way I look at it. If longevity is your goal. Now, if performance is your goal and you're getting paid to play at a high level, then that's a different animal, right? Then it's not about health. It's about performance. And then you got to be able to regulate your nervous system. You have to be able to learn how to relax. You have to learn how to shut it off. Because if you can't shut it off, your body can't rest and digest. And that call comes into strategy too. If you're constantly in this like over-breathing, revved up, tight, compressed state, your body's not going to recover. It's not going to get nutrients to where it needs to go. So it's really the complete package. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They're looking for all these fancy answers, but there's not a long-term fancy answer solution. You can take things to help you, tools, but if you don't have the foundation, those tools are not going to work in the long run. So there's just a few thoughts today. I'm looking forward to moving this week. I'm going to spend my week in Managua because I've got a crazy schedule. I'm working with two teams a day. We've got games this week at night, which I ordered some. My blue blockers got eaten by my one dog. He chewed them up, so I ordered some new ones. Hopefully those will be here. I actually wore sunglasses at the last night game we had because it's like 6 o'clock at night and those lights are bright. So I wore sunglasses for the night game to kind of help with me so I could go to sleep when I went home, and it did help. But I ordered some blue blocking glasses. They should be here this week, so I can wear those for the night games because all the games here in Managua are at night. They're at 6 o'clock. So 2 practices Monday, 1 practice Tuesday, and a night game, and then 1 practice on Wednesday. The team that I'm working with that's in the championship will be in Chantales, but I have to stay here because I'm working with another team. And then Thursday, there'll probably be 2 practices as well with 2 different teams. And then Friday, I believe, no, am I right? No. It's Tuesday game, Wednesday game, Thursday off, Friday. I can't remember, but it's a crazy week. So I'm going to be basically staying in Managua all week. My housekeeper will take care of Rommel, and then we'll move at the end of probably on the weekend, probably on Saturday. So I'm excited to not have to do the commute every single day, but it's a beautiful day here. I'm going to do some relaxation today. Been working hard all week, and so honestly, I don't think I've ever worked this hard in my life. We have very minimal equipment here, so I'm doing a lot of we're doing 1-arm rows manually with me. Things like that. I'm having to demo a lot of things because, obviously I can't. It's going to take me a while to really be able to explain things in Spanish. I'm a lot better than I was. I understand a lot more than I can speak. Luckily, both the teams that I'm working with, I'd say half the players understand English. Half the coaches can speak to me in English, which is good, particularly the one team I'm going to be working for this week. Most of the coaches speak English, so that really helps. But my Spanish is getting better. And so I'm actually really excited about that. But I'm probably fit-wise, I'm doing so much stuff. We don't have sleds. We don't have a lot of fancy equipment. So I'm using a lot of bands for manual dragging and things like that. So I'm spending, a good 45 minutes to an hour, adding resistance to guys that are either sprinting or walking with bands. So that's exhausting. And then, so I've been training maybe once a week because every day I'm basically training, essentially demonstrating exercises, doing things. I'm working with baseball. I'm working with a team called Los Santos, which is a professional baseball team here. And then I've been hired by the Nicaraguan national team. working for Dusty Baker. So I'm going to be doing their physical preparation, which is a huge honor. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I never would have expected this to happen. I never envisioned working with a sports team when I moved here. Yes, it's nice. It's incredible. It's a great opportunity. It's a really cool. Getting ready for the World Baseball Championships in Miami in March. We have the Central American Games here, October 18th in Guatemala. I think we have another tournament in November in Venezuela. So it's exciting. It's a great opportunity. I moved here to open a gym on the beach. That kind of fell through. And then I was, kind of ended up having to start my own coaching business online virtually. I thought about coming back to the U.S., but I really liked it here. And so I decided to stay, and I met one of the players, and he recognized me, and he asked me to help him with his low back. As I started working with him, he told one of the local teams here about me. I went and helped them for a while, for about 4 or 5 months, helped them kind of turn their season around. That didn't work out, and then I started working with a couple players in Managua. They heard I was here, and it just kind of everything fell into place. So it's been a rough year, but just as far as like uncertainty and trying to run an online business, and then I'm very grateful for the opportunity to coach in person, because I do love coaching people online. It's fun, but I'm not a good marketer. I'm not good at self-promotion. I'm not good at selling flashy things, because that doesn't work in the long run. So, and I miss coaching in person. And so the fact that I get to coach in person now is a huge relief, and it really is so good for my soul. So it's funny how things work out, because if all that other stuff would have not fallen through, I wouldn't have had time to do this. So I'm pretty excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a big challenge. I've got a lot of work to do, but there's immense talent here. So thank you. My whole life has been kind of upside down and sideways. So I think that's one of the reasons I'm really good at working with people that have difficult challenges, because the good Lord has taught me patience and perseverance through my life. So, but he's always taking good care of me. So at times it hasn't been easy, but everything has a purpose. So the last year has been very rough, but I had a lot of really good people help me through the last year. So one of my brothers helped me a lot. Some former clients helped me immensely. And of course, the current clients that I have helped me as well. And so I'm very lucky to have a lot of good people around me and help me. Have a lot of great relationships that I've been able to lean on, even though I'm in another country. And then just being able to work with people in person again has been a huge blessing and a challenge at the same time. But during my whole career, I worked with tons of basketball teams, baseball teams that didn't have a weight room, didn't have equipment. So I've got decades of experience of working with teams, even at the college level where resources were limited. So really, it's almost the perfect situation. And then also, I'm obviously not getting paid what I would be getting paid in the U.S., but the cost of living here is also very low. I'm being compensated very well for here. So, being single and then living in a country where the cost of living is really low makes it much easier. But there's some great opportunities here I'm super excited about, especially when it comes to player development. So I'm excited for what the future holds, and looking forward to getting started next week. I'm looking forward to moving to Managua. I never thought I'd be moving into a big city, but that's just kind of where the Lord's pointing me. It's a nice little place that has a pool, and they're going to allow Rommel to come with me. So I'm super excited about that, and I'm looking forward to getting in there and getting to work and preparing for getting the team prepared for March. And then the Los Santos team that I'm working for, they've hired me year-round. We're working with their U15, their U23, And so we're going to build a program, like a year-round program, which really nobody really has here. So I'm excited about that. That's one of the things I wanted. I wanted to be working with a team that was committed to developing a year-round program, developmental program to develop players from a young age. And so I'm really excited about working with the youth guys. And it's a great situation. And so next week, or this upcoming week, I'll have more time to make more content and you know, have some time to work on the internet during the day instead of riding on a motorcycle all day. Because after riding 2.5, 3 hours on a motorcycle in crazy traffic, I mean, I can't even explain how insane driving in downtown Managua is, or in Managua in general on a motorcycle. It's imagine like 5 lanes of traffic, bumper to bumper, all driving between, you know, sometimes 0 and say 50 miles an hour, with motorcycles flying in between the cars, and like, you know, horse buggies and carts, and, you know, people don't really, half the brake lights don't work. You know, people will just walk in the middle of the street and put their hand out, expect you to stop. It's just absolutely crazy. I love it. I actually love it because it's like, it's almost like a meditation for me, because I have to like completely go into the moment. I'm breathing through my nose. I'm relaxed. I'm calm. Because you can't, when you're on a motorcycle, if you freak out and you overreact, you're dead. You're on the ground, right? And so you got to be really careful with your brake. You got to watch what's going on and pick and choose where you're going. And then, you know, if I didn't have the motorcycle and I couldn't lane split between the cars, you know, the commute would, instead of being an hour, it would be 2.5. You know, because it's like some of the bumper to bumper stuff is just crazy. But it'd be nice to get the location I'm going to be living within is, I think the furthest travel I have to do is maybe 10 minutes. All 3 practice facilities that we use and the stadium we play at is all within 5-10 minutes of where I live, where I'm going to be living. So that's going to be huge. And there's a nice group of people. There's a lot. I'm Canadian originally, and there's a lot of Canadians. Actually, the woman that owns this place I'm going to be living at, she's Canadian as well. So there's going to be some good social interaction for me there. And then being in Managua just gives me access to a wider variety of food. Like you can go to like the big thing here. It's really funny. It's the Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. is like and McDonald's is crazy popular here too. But I don't eat at McDonald's very often. But the food there is much better. Like I don't get sick after eating McDonald's here like I do. Like I had, you know, McDonald's every once in a while in the U.S. And I would not feel good after, but here it's totally different. I think they use the grass-fed Nicaraguan beef, and it's just simpler. They have it's interesting, to say the least. And so there's a lot more options as far as food. Like I can get more steaks. There's more restaurants that have choices, you know, like chicken burritos and things like that. Whereas here, you know, where I live, you're looking at, you know, eating grilled chicken from the side of the road, like, you know, somebody cooking it on the side of the road. So there's not a lot of like quicker options. So there's going to be more food options. There's more gym options. It's more like a modern city, in a different kind of way. But I'm looking forward to that, having more choices for food, and then being able to go. I love living in nature. That's part of my big message, is get outside more. But I also, you know, I'll be honest, I love going, you know, into the city and doing stuff, right? So it'd be nice to have the blend. And the place I'm staying at is really quiet. It's got a pool. It's kind of like an oasis. It's like in the middle of this big city. Yes, absolutely, I will. But the cool place where I'm staying, it's almost like a little natural enclave. Like she's got, her little compound, she's got chickens and she's got parrots and she's got cats and dogs. And so I'll actually be able to get more sun there, because where I live, there's so many trees here that I don't get a lot of direct sun. So I have to walk and go sit out in the sun. So it'll actually be easier for me to get sun. But the cool thing is, within, you know, 20 minutes, I'm outside the city, and I can go, you know, all sorts of different places. I can go to the beach, and it's so reasonable here. I could easily go stay on the beach for a weekend for really cheap. So, but the cool thing is the place I'm living, it's very quiet. So I'll be able to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city. So I'm looking forward to that. The big thing is having less commute. I'll be able to do a little more online work, and then be able to relax a lot more. And I don't have air conditioning in this house, and I've noticed that when I sleep with air conditioner, my sleep is so much better. The fan just doesn't do it, and it's not exceptionally hot here, but I need the room to be about 70 degrees for me to sleep well, and it's almost impossible to get the. I actually have ice packs that I put in my bed with me, and that just doesn't do the trick like air conditioning. So I'm actually really looking forward to having an air conditioner and getting some better sleep, and then also my dog Rommel, he's I don't know how much time he's got left. Every time I see him, some days he looks like he's going to die at any second, and other days he's playing catch for half an hour, but he's on his way down. He's over 20 years old. And then they have, I'd like to get him cremated, so I could take him. I have a couple of my other dogs with me, so that I have access to that in Managua. So getting him when he's ready to go, getting him put to sleep, and then cremated, it's something I'd like to do. So that's a big plus as well. So because he's been with me for a long time, a long time. And he did the trip down here with me, and I told him before I moved from Florida down here, because I drove down here because of him. They wouldn't let him on the plane, or I'd have just flown down here. And I told him, I say, hey man, look, for because I bought a vehicle and I sold it when I got here. When I drove down here, I said, man, I'm doing this for you, so you got to at least live at least a year. Well, it's almost 2 now, so he's incredible. He's been a great blessing. Didn't sleep the greatest last night because we had a thunderstorm and he doesn't handle those well. But man, what a blessing he's been. So very grateful for him. And well, that's about it. So if anybody has any questions, I see there's a few people on here watching. I'll be happy to answer. But to sum it all up, basics matter. It's the small things done consistently every single day. I've been reminded of that as I work with some professional baseball teams. It's the simple things done every day that make the difference in the long run. And it doesn't always have to be intense. With intent, once you have a base foundation, you can sprinkle intensity in there. But it's the daily stuff. It's the warm-ups. It's the walking. It's all the little things that make a difference in the long run. And then the details as far as like your circadian rhythm and getting outside, that's a huge factor. That's your foundation. Circadian rhythm, walking, some general warm-up stuff, some good movement every day is much more important than a bunch of intensity. You can't make up for lack of movement with intensity. It's not going to end well for most people. So you're welcome. Happy to tell you. That's the one thing I've noticed too. Like, working in Lexington for 20 plus years, working with these teams, like you gotta say it over and over and over again. That's why people need coaches. They need mentors, because they need to be reminded. And people will do well for a while, and then like I'm working with somebody right now who's doing exceptionally well, and then all of a sudden he had something happen, and he's like, well, I started scrolling on my phone again, and I haven't been taking my light environment seriously, and I'm kind of spiraling out of control. I started missing some of my workouts. I've missed my walks, and it's like, all right, man, we just got to get back to the basics. We got to get outside. We got to set some boundaries. We got to set some limits. You got to have your non-negotiables that you do regardless, kind of like brushing your teeth. For me, my non-negotiables are walking outside every day. I went for my walk this morning, and that was good. Just down to the gate and back. I'll go for another walk here in a minute. And, the lights off at night is negotiable for me. And the phone, getting the phone off, getting away from the phone. Those are all things that I do regardless of how I feel. And that's really what it comes down to, is having the discipline to have those foundational things part of your life. It's just who you are. And a lot of people don't have those basics down. Yeah, I know it's tough. I know it's tough, Lisa. The biggest thing is getting the overhead lights off. I use the red light from EMR Tech. I have that on in the background even right now during the day. I leave it on for Rommel because he's in, I have my natural light coming through my windows, but I have so many trees. He'll always, like, the light at certain times of the day will be like come in onto the floor, and he'll go lay in the direct sun for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and he'll get back on the couch again. But I leave the red light on for him, but I leave that on in the kitchen all night. That way, if I have to get up and do whatever, I don't bust my face. So that's kind of how I hack that. And then it's just a matter of, a lot of times I'll listen to a meditation, or I'll listen to something with my phone in airplane mode, if I need something to kind of help me calm down and relax. But getting that phone off, one of the things I struggled with here, the sun goes down at like 5 or 6 o'clock, and it gets dark. And so it's like, luckily I'm tired enough that I usually go to bed by 8. And if I do have to do some computer work, I wear blue blockers and I turn my screen red, but I try not to do that. I try to get everything done early. But the nice thing is the sun does come up here at like 5:15. So, yeah, and if you want, you can go to the Vitality Brotherhood and look on my recommended products page. There's the Fire Wave. It's a small light, and I take it with me. It's portable, so I just use that in the background at night. You can use candlelight too. You can get some red lights off Amazon, put them in lamps so that they're low. The big thing is you just don't want to have the bright, blue LEDs. You just want to avoid all bright light at night, and that'll make a big difference in your sleep. And that's really the key, is the sleep is the foundation of everything. Appetite control, regulation. If you're not getting good sleep, you got the lights on at night, you're going to be insulin resistant regardless of what your diet is. So that's a biggie. But those are all simple. You can use the brooder lamps. Absolutely. You can use brooder lamps. That's a great way to do it. They do get really hot, though. That's the nice thing about the EMR Tech, is I can leave it on 24 hours a day. I've had it for like 3 years, and it's been on like 24 hours a day for the last 3 years. So it kind of shows you how durable they are. And I mean, I've dropped them. I travel with them. Like, I'll put it in my backpack and bring it on the plane. When I go to a hotel, when I'm staying at a hotel, I'll have it on in the background. At night, so I don't have to have the lights on. But brooder lights are a great way to do it. They do put off a lot of heat, though, so you got to be careful with that. So brooder lights, or EMR Tech lights used. The Firewave is not very expensive, but I'm sure you could find them if you got on Facebook Marketplace or something. The nice thing about the EMR Tech lights is there's no flicker. A brooder light, you can go to Tractor Supply. They're really cheap. You can use them to make a sauna out of them too, because they put off so much heat. A lot of people will put them in a closet or something, and they'll make a sauna out of it. But I'm sure you could find a used EMR Tech light on Facebook Marketplace. But there's a link on my recommended product page on vitalitybrotherhood.com. You get a discount on that. But for me, it's a great investment. It was like I don't know what the price is now, but the small one is like a couple $100, and it's lasted forever. I bought it 3 years ago, I think. I had a big panel at my gym that I had on the wall. I sold that before I left Lexington because it was just to travel with it would have been too much. So I got rid of it, but I have the small one, and it's been great. It's been a great tool. So that's definitely something that's helpful. But really, at the worst case scenario, even if you have to turn lights on, just keep it low, like keep it in a lamp. Just make sure there's no big bright overhead lights on. That makes a big difference. And then, of course, if you have to have the lights on, if you don't have a solution, just get yourself a good pair of blue blockers. You can go to Vitality Brotherhood. They're expensive, but they're very good. The Viva Rays, we tested them with specometer that measures light frequency, and they're legit. And the nice thing about those is they have I really wish my dog hadn't eaten the frames of it, my younger dog. they have like a light tint for like if you were doing computer work during the day, and then it has a magnet. You can put the medium and then the dark ones on for nighttime. Do you have them off before? Are you talking about lights? I try to get the overhead lights off as soon as the sun goes down, which I know is a big challenge for people that live in northern latitudes, particularly in the wintertime. But that's why I use the EMR Tech red light in the background. I don't look directly at it because any bright light at night is going to mess you up. But the red light in the background is really good because you can see really well. But it's just on in the background. I actually got the idea from Dr. Cruz. He had at his house in Florida. He had all the rooms had big red light panels that he just, all the lights. You want to get them all off at night as soon as you can, and if you can't, just wear blue blockers as soon as the sun goes down, and then get out throughout the day so you're getting natural light like I am right now, because the natural light, the background is offsetting the screen. Yeah, I know I've dealt with a lot of couples, and it causes some tension, for sure. But that's where the blue blockers come in. At the very least, wear blue blockers, and wear, like, cover up. Like, I would wear a long sleeve shirt and long sleeve pants, or like pants and like sweatpants or something at night if you're not gonna, because the skin is like your second eye. So if you're in a place where you don't have control over the light intensity, and it's going to cause too much of a problem in your relationship, then I would just wear blue blockers and then wear long sleeve stuff. Just cover up as much as you can at night. And that's a good way to, and the dark, the really dark Viva Ray blue blockers, you put all three of those on. When I do that, when I had them before, I'm going to order a new pair of them. I could not stay awake because it was just so intense, the darkness, as far as blocking the light. Even when I was in airports and stuff like that, I'd never drive with them on because you'll see me, when I end up going to the World Baseball Championships, I wear my blue blocking glasses when I'm at the games at night because those lights are ridiculously intense. I would never want any of the players to do that because they want to play their best. They don't want to be like, you wear dark blue blocking glasses, it's going to affect your reaction time. It's going to, confuse your body immensely. But for me, if I'm, there, like 6 o'clock game doesn't end until 10 usually. By the time you get home, it's midnight. So I keep those blue blockers on so that I can, go to sleep when I get home. So that's one of the reasons why professional athletes have a really hard time, is because if they're playing night games, their circadian rhythm gets so busted. That's why so many of them have gone to these big, these big red light tanning beds, to kind of, get these players in enough red light to help them heal better. But most people don't have the budget for those things. Those things are ridiculously expensive. But, red light in the background. You can't get the lights off at night. Get a good pair of blue blockers, and then wear long sleeves at night. You'll notice a big, big difference after the sun goes down. Do that, and I think you'll see a big, big difference. But I don't think you'll have to get your own place. Just kind of present the idea. Hey, I think we really need to change the lighting environment. They're really resistant. And just do your thing. Wear your blue blockers. Wear your long sleeves. Wear your sweatpants. And then over time, usually what happens is the other person starts asking questions. Yeah, get a hijab. A hijab would be great for at nighttime. Definitely not good during the day, but definitely good for the night, to block all the artificial light. So this stuff's powerful. It's, a lot of people will roll their eyes at the light stuff, but all you have to do is get on ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you use and just start asking, like, what is the correlation between, night, light at night and health. And it's just like, it's insane. Everything from cancer to heart disease to everything you can imagine. You look at, most Americans don't get outside at all, no vitamin D, no infrared, no UV. It's just really affects your mitochondria. And that's really the foundation of your health. And so that's why so many people are struggling today. But appreciate you being here. Appreciate you chatting. Thanks for listening to my update. And we'll see you again soon. I'm going to get on a regular schedule where I'll start doing these on a regular basis and keep answering questions. Keep it simple. Discipline is your friend. Come up with your non-negotiables. Do them every day. And you'll find that it'll be much easier to, thank you, Aiden, I appreciate that. It'll be much easier to adhere to be disciplined and to have motivation, so to speak, once you have your foundations down, because your body's in a better place. You feel good. You feel like doing more things. And then it's not a matter of willpower. So take care. Have yourself a wonderful day. And make sure you take the time to get outside wherever you are, no matter what the weather is. You need to be outside. You need to get light in your eyes. Take care.